here, they might be thinking what is about this topic and why this has been selected for this particular meeting. So in coming few minutes, I want to convey that this is very important topic. At least in 50% of the people attending here, they will experience it once in their lifetime. Means the girls who will attain maturity and later on, after reproductive lifespan, they will end up in menopause and the life afterwards. So that is why this phase of life is important for any female as well as for males also, because those who are budding doctors or those who are practicing doctors, they must know the menopause. And this is not only the gynecologist domain. So what the other branches of medicine can do for it, and for their at least 50% of their patients, those who have crossed their reproductive age. So as we know, its presentations are multifactorial, multifaceted, and this will need multi-pronged treatment, and multiple care providers are needed. It's not only for gynecologists. So this spectrum is a strength and that gives us opportunity to take care of women's later half of life. So just going back to the basics, what is menopause? It has a retrospective diagnosis. That means after the last menstrual period, we have to wait for at least 12 months. Means 1 year of secondary amenorrhea, which comes in middle age of life, usually in middle age of life, then we label it as menopause. It's usually natural cessation of menstrual cycles and decline in reproductive hormones around the middle age. This is the natural, but it can be unnatural also. Nowadays, because if the hysterectomy is there or hysterectomy with salpingophorectomy is done, then it's surgical, or in patients who need chemotherapy or radiotherapy, in those cases it is unnatural and may come abruptly and may manifest severely and suddenly. So those who are undergoing in their families, any one of you who have seen the women who have undergone surgery, sudden hysterectomy they have undergone, and they present with the symptoms of sudden presentation of menopausal symptoms. So usually it presents after age of 45. In India, the common age of menopause is around 49 to 51 years of age. But if it occurs before the age of, in 40 to 45 years of age, it is early menopause. But if it presents earlier than 40 years of age, then it is labeled as premature ovarian insufficiency. So the symptoms will present in the same way in all these three conditions. So it is very important for us to know because of the lack of ovulation after the menopause, there is oestropinia, estrogen deficiency is there. So some of its symptoms present because of estrogen deficiency. So we label it as the M's of menopausal dysfunction, which we can label as mood and cognitive functions. Sometimes once the woman attains menopause, कहते oh ho, I have increased my forgetfulness. सामान कहीं रख के कहीं भूल जाती हूँ, अलमारी में से फ्रिज का सामान ढूंढने लगती हूँ और फ्रिज में अलमारी का सामान रख देती हूँ. तो these things happen commonly. You might have seen in your mothers, sisters or some elderly people in life कि ये तो भुलक्कड़ हो गए हैं. What has happened to them? Those who are very particular. So this is related to oestropinia. Vasomotor symptoms are there. सारा घर एसी चला रहा है और वो कह रहे हैं नहीं नहीं अभी इस टाइम पे मुझे ठंड लग रही है, आप ये बंद कर दो. So vasomotor symptoms are there that may present with hot flashes, sweating, means they behave a bit abnormal, vasomotor abnormal. Suddenly they get red flashing over their face and upper part of body, suddenly start sweating. Nowadays these symptoms are seen in men also, those who attain andropause, but these are particularly related to menopausal symptoms. Micturition and genital related, means genitourinary syndrome of menopause is there, in which because of oestropinia, genital atrophy leading to sexual dysfunction, dyspareunia may be there. So these things are symptoms are mainly related to oestropinia, but later on, after the later years of life, they may present with osteoporosis, metabolic syndrome, malignancy or cardiovascular symptoms might be there. So those symptoms which are related to oestropinia get very much benefited with the menopausal hormonal therapy. So later on we have seen the ladies, those who are in perimenopausal age group. Doctor Sahab, I am going to gym regularly as I was going earlier, but now I am unable to lose my weight. My girth is increasing. So abdominal obesity and metabolic syndrome suddenly rises after the menopause. Roughly 30 to 70% steep rise is seen in the perimenopausal and menopausal age group as compared to just 14 to 45% of women in reproductive age group. This presents with the abdominal adiposity, insulin resistance, hypertension, dyslipidemia, means all parameters of metabolic syndrome are there. So the symptoms related to menopause, in earlier menopause or in perimenopausal age group, vasomotor symptoms leading to sleeping disorder, mood changes, psychological disturbance are there. And these can be reversed or controlled with the menopausal hormonal therapy. But as the time advances, in the 50s to 60 years of age, vaginal atrophy, dyspareunia, skin atrophy, sagging of facial skin, these things happen. And later on, osteoporosis, atherosclerosis, and cardiovascular, even cerebrovascular disease are on rise. So that means we need holistic care for all these symptoms, maybe related to bone joint, psychosocial support, or physical activity, diet, yoga, exercise, meditation, whatever we want to suggest them, because these are, although these are said to be supportive, but these are in first thing to be done. Means we should take care of our diet in menopausal age group as well as the resistance exercises are to be more, and stress management. Life is passing through that phase of life in which so many psychological changes are taking place, lifestyle factors are there, children are going for their jobs. So all these social factors are there, so they need social support for the stress management, and patient-centered care should be taken care of, that depending upon the patient's particular needs, and physical modification and rehabilitation which may be needed for this. So how to tackle? We want to give them person-centered approach, address their complaints and concerns, and target issues that impair their quality and quantity of life. As in previous lecture, we have seen that for obesity, we need detailed counseling and support according to person's needs. Here, the same way in menopausal age group also, the person-centered care is needed, and we have to take care of the long-term effects also. It's not only if she has come with the vasomotor symptoms, we just treat that, but we should look into other cardiovascular risk factors as well as the osteoporotic risk factors also to give her long-term therapy. And we must respect her preferences and prioritization. So coming to the common presentation which is seen in roughly up to 80% of women with in perimenopausal and menopausal age group are the vasomotor symptoms. The commonest one is the hot flash, which is also taken as angina equivalent. It can be of mild, moderate, or severe intensity, may come in just for 2 to 4 minutes. A flash is there, and which may come just once a day or once a week, or maybe as frequent as one hourly. And it might be associated with the night sweats, palpitation, chills, shivering. And we must remember that women who present with vasomotor symptoms are more likely to be at risk of cardiovascular disease and osteoporosis. So if we treat vasomotor symptoms, we might likely to prevent her landing up in cardiovascular disease as well as with the osteoporosis. But it's not only about the vasomotor symptoms only because of menopausal symptoms as a menopause, because many of patients come through cardiologists or physicians to us. Because patient had palpitation, she went to a cardiologist, she was examined and found fit, and then it was labeled as this might be because of menopause, just consult a gynecologist. So commonly if someone and this age group has taken spicy food, fond of alcohol, coffee, smoking, and leads a lot of under stress, in those cases these symptoms may be more frequent, or she might be on medications, having other medical disorders like diabetes or hypertension, or she might be having emotional rush and followed by a flush. We should look for any carcinoid tumor, and commonly urinary tract infection or any acute febrile illness. Remember, the vasomotor symptoms do not increase the core temperature. If you use thermometer, the body temperature will be normal, but when you touch the patient, she will be warm. And another common symptom of the menopause is the genitourinary syndrome of menopause, called as GSM. Vasomotor symptoms come early, but they can be controlled with the medication or with the lifestyle change, and these just go away with the time. But genitourinary syndrome, once it comes, it worsens with the time. So that is why we need to take care of it. It's not like that if she is around 55, she has mild complaints and we just leave it just for the lifestyle modification, and later on it's not going to be better, it's going to be worse. So commonest is the vaginal dryness, which may lead to urinary infection, frequency, urgency, dysuria, with which the patient commonly plains with a recurrent UTI, vaginal foul-smelling discharge, dyspareunia, atrophy. So these symptoms, and later on she may present, usually patient in 60s to 70s years of age, they present with the urethral prolapse or caruncle, which needs to be taken care of. So routine medical screening should be done, but specific to gynecological health, pap smear, TVS and mammogram need to be done. And depending upon the presenting symptoms, targeted tests are to be done. So of all these investigations, what physicians can do? If we check all the list, only the pap smear is for which we need gynecologist, or if we train our any staff to do it properly, and if they just take the pic, because nowadays the other facilities are available in which they can click the pic with the camera, and then they can show the physician if patient is not comfortable, and pap smear can be taken by staff also, because in government setup they train the staff nurses to take the pap smears, but it's better if we refer for this test and gynecological examination to a gynecologist. Rest of the things can be taken care of by physician. And we should assess their fracture risk, and osteoporosis diagnosis should be done. The simplest one is the OSTA score. That can be done by anyone, any physician in their OPDs also. They have to just the weight of the patient and the age of the patient. If from weight, if we subtract the age, weight minus age into 0.2. If it is -4, then she is high risk for osteoporosis. Above all, above it and above all, it's normal. So it can be detected for the mild, moderate and severe risk, that can be detected with the OSTA score. Later on, FRAC scoring can be done. And how to manage if someone presents to you with these complaints of the acute menopausal symptoms. So first of all is the lifestyle therapy, as the diet as well as the exercise. Diet is, we should increase our protein intake to reduce our weight, or to manage maintain our weight if it is we are not overweight. Protein intake and resistance exercise, which are good for the menopausal age group, and mind style therapy. Many of times, if we have not done any exercise in our lifetime earlier than the menopausal age, but this is the stage in life in which we should make up our mind that we should follow the regular discipline in the form of diet, exercise, stress management, sleep, as well as we have to reduce our screen time, because this is very rampant and it is increasing in our lifestyle. So that's why if we take care of it, our mind will be set, because this is the age. Otherwise in older population it was, ये आपकी उम्र धर्म कर्म की है, तो आप भगवान का नाम लो, जप लो. So that is basically the meditation and yoga, just resting and taking care of your health. And motivational therapeutics must be used. If we just like managing obesity, here also we need the buddies. Buddy system is there. अगर आपकी कोई सहेली आपके age group की है, you can go for a walk with her. You can just share recipes, healthy recipes with her, and improve your lifestyle. And many drugs for menopausal symptoms and health are available, which can be used, just like menopausal hormonal therapy. If we find the patient needs menopausal hormonal therapy, it's best to refer her to a gynecologist for starting this therapy if she has to be given the systemic menopausal therapy. But non-hormonal therapies or complementary medication can be started by anyone. For dietary advice, the meal composition, this is the simplest way of defining the meal. It doesn't take a lot of time or lot of energy. If we tell them, you just improve the ABCD of your meal. So A stands for, if we are in our plate, if we divide it into 3 parts, A is for cereals, that is for anaj, aloo, arbi. That is 1/3 of our plate contains cereals. And the B is for beverages, which are kept aside, and C is for colored vegetables and fruit. So if 1/3 of our plate contains vegetable, fruit, salad, and rest 1/3 is with the protein-rich portion, which contains maybe dal, doodh, dry fruit, or non-veg. So one is protein, one is fiber, and another one is cereals. And as in the previous slide, it was shown that Coca-Cola shouldn't be taken, means that fast foods and this aerated beverages shouldn't be taken. So here also the same way beverages are, best beverage is the water. If we increase our water intake, we will not make much of other beverages. Otherwise, we can take lemonade, that is the simplest one. Otherwise, the detox waters usually patient ladies like to take, so that can be taken. There's jaljeera, kokum syrup. So all these things should be taken in place of coffee, tea, or the soft drinks or alcohol. So for this particular age group, we can suggest them to increase their soya intake, can take chickpeas, flax seeds, milk at night and virgin coconut oil, just half spoon of virgin coconut oil, because at this age the menopausal migraine is also very common. So virgin coconut oil also helps. It can be added to just half spoon added to milk, or the tea can be added and taken. And the physical activity, that has to be increased, but it should be increased gradually. So these are the global recommendations for the physical activity in middle and older age adults. So first start with the balance training for fall prevention. It's not the first day we tell them you just start running and minimum your speed should be 1 kilometer per 10 minutes. It can't be that way. First start with balancing and then go for strength training 2 to 3 times per week. It shouldn't be daily you go for strength training, so that may lead to muscle tear or you may get fatigued and stop working. And weight bearing exercises such as walking. To me, walking is the best exercise, but it might not be same for everyone. So that is the personal choice for the patients. And 30 minutes or more of moderate physical activity on the most of the days of the week. Means we tell them minimum 6 days a week they should go for physical activity. It's better if they follow it on all the days, but in this sequence if they follow, that gives the better results. Now coming to the hot flashes. So if someone is having a mild hot flash, that means just hot flash, nothing additional symptom along with it. It's not associated with sweating or the erythema or palpitation. If no other symptom is along with the hot flash, then what can be done? Because this is the management of mild hot flashes that can be done by anyone, and this should be suggested to every of our patients presenting with hot flash. Might be it is, maybe it is mild, moderate, severe, but this is the basic for the management. They should have their trigger diary. What does mean the trigger diary is that they should know that what did they do, then they got the hot flash. What was the predisposing factor? Sometimes it's the just take a hot cup of coffee and just having a golgappa and spicy food followed by a hot flash. So if they have their trigger diary, they can just change their food habits or their stress levels. Sometimes the sudden anger, sudden bout of anger then followed by hot flash, so then they can manage it on their personality. So they avoid stress, spices, salt and sudden change of temperature. They just coming from the kitchen, they're going to AC, and then from AC just coming to kitchen. Sometimes the middle-aged ladies, they say that I can't work in the kitchen. Earlier I was comfortable doing it, but now it's difficult for me. So the cooling techniques like use of chillo, that is the chilled pillow, means the cold water, that is the pillows are there, those who have lowering temperature. As we use in winters, just warming pillows are there, but similarly chillos are there for the hot flashes. Psychotherapy can be given so that their management improves. And if they have hot flashes with the sweating or the other cardiovascular symptoms are there, then the menopausal hormonal therapy is very effective. We should intensify the behavioral therapy plus menopausal hormonal therapy. And if we are unable to give MST or we are unable to refer to the gynecologist, then SSRI, SNRI, neurostabilizers like gabapentin, clonidine, these can also be given in their usual dosage. I usually prescribe paroxetine for the short time, that gives very good results. And for the genitourinary symptoms, the hygiene is very important. We have to tell them. And non-medicated gels, lubricating gels can be used. And if medicated gels or the creams are to be applied, then estrogen vaginal therapy is very effective. And that can be given by physicians also. But otherwise, we have a latest advancement in the form of energy-based devices for vaginal tightening, vaginal rejuvenation, and surgeries are also available. For this therapy, we don't need detailed investigations for vaginal estrogen therapy. Therapy can be initiated at the early stage, should be initiated at the early stage with the smallest dose, and to be applied daily for 2 weeks vaginally at bedtime. and then it can be frequency can be reduced to twice weekly for 2 months. And this is safe in women with comorbidities, even in the breast cancer survivors it can be given. As for MST, we need progesterone supplement, those who have uterus intact, but in these cases, progesterone supplementation is not needed. Other alternative therapies available are DHEA, testosterone gel, injection mixogen, and for sexual dysfunction, ospemifene can be given. And as already discussed, that obesity, weight gain is there in perimenopausal age group, and sarcopenic obesity is common. So that is why the high protein diet and resistance exercises. And we must not forget to supplement them with the calcium and vitamin D. In our diet, if we take 1 glass of milk, that is 500 ml of milk contains just 500 milligram of calcium. So we need to supplement it. Give vitamin D in 800 international units per day. And those who have comorbidities like diabetes, if they are on pioglitazone, just be aware of that it has an increased risk of osteoporosis. And those who have come with the vaginal infection or recurrent UTI must take the history of SGLT2 inhibitors. So just a word about those who need systemic MST. The menopausal hormonal therapy can be given in oral as well, or though oral way is the best oral medication. But if someone doesn't like to take it and doesn't tolerate it, or if she has contraindications of oral menopausal hormonal therapy, means estrogen orally is contraindicated in that, in those cases, transdermal therapy can be given. But those who are hysterectomized, estrogen alone can be given to them. And this is, we have a window of opportunity if we give them MST, because that takes care of osteoporosis as well as the cardiovascular health later in life. But if patient presents to you with the severe vasomotor symptoms requiring hormonal therapy, or she has problems while on menopausal hormonal therapy, has breast lump discharge, abnormal cervical smear, postmenopausal bleeding, or any feature suggestive of or at risk of ovarian cancer, or those in perimenopausal age group planning pregnancy, must refer them to the gynecologist. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for a great talk which physicians need to know, because some knowledge has to be there to treat such an important thing which is routinely being overlooked. Thank you very much. And I must thank Kriti Kalra, where she is. So because of her,